Welcome to topic 2.1.4, setting indentations, with particular attention to first lines, hanging indents, negative indents, and both side indents. We touched on this a little bit when we were looking at margins. But let's take a look at this paragraph here. So these marks that we have up on top mark the indentations. So the left indent comes out here. Notice when you pull the bottom on its own, it pulls the whole thing in. We could pull this in too. This is that both side indent. This is particularly useful when you're quoting something because you don't want to put spaces on the left and extra spaces on the right. If you have to make any edits, then it's a pain to go back and respace and respace and respace. It's much easier to just pull in the indents and let the software do the spacing for you. A hanging indent is when the first line is further left than the rest. A negative indent is something like this, where you're actually coming into the margin of the page. Now, the first line indent is this horizontal line. So the first line indent tells us where that first line is. So if we have no space between paragraphs, that first line indent is how we tell when a new paragraph has begun. We can often tell because the previous line is, ends with a lot of space, but sometimes the end of the previous paragraph comes pretty close to the other margin. So it's not completely clear that we have a new paragraph here without that first line indent or without that space between the paragraphs. So these days it is most common to use that first line indent, or to just use that paragraph spacing rather than the first line indent, but that is certainly not the only valid way to do it. So if you wish to set these up, again, the first line indent is that horizontal line at the top. You can also come into the format menu. We have the bullets and numberings, but we can usually find the alignment and indent here. So there's the increase, decrease, and the indentation options, where you can do first line or hanging indents specified here as well. Notice that their indentation here by default is in inches. So we do have these options, although you can go through the menu. Most people do find it more convenient to drag these markers left and right.